Thank you for purchasing Unifiller equipment. We are sure you will get years of trouble-free use and excellent productivity from your new investment. Please note that this video will run you through the disassembly, cleaning, reassembly, setup, and calibration of your machine. If you have any questions regarding the setting up or operation of your equipment, please contact us or contact your local authorized Unifiller dealer. Unifiller takes great care to ensure your machine is shipped clean, complete, and in working order. All Unifiller equipment comes with a quick start guide and a spare parts kit. These items are included with your machine. A complete written manual is also located on this CD, and we encourage you to take a few minutes to familiarize yourself with the layout of the controls. Next, make a note of the serial number located on the side of your depositor for your records. Your machine works with many interchangeable attachments. So when first receiving your equipment, please take the time to verify your order and inspect every part. Contact us immediately for anything that is missing or looks damaged. Replacement spare parts can be ordered from Unifiller's customer service or your local Unifiller dealer. Have your serial number on hand to ensure accurate ordering of parts. Unifiller strongly recommends that you clean and/or sanitize your equipment according to your local government regulations before its first operation. Furthermore, it is also recommended that you flush out the machine between production cycles and/or product changeover. While disassembling your machine, we recommend placing your parts in a wash tray or on a baking pan. Never use a bucket because you will have a tendency of dropping the parts into the bucket. This may damage some of the parts, especially the product cylinder. Your depositor uses a product cylinder. While placing the product cylinder on a tray, you never want to stand it up because it could get knocked over and damaged. Laying it down on a tray will also prevent it from rolling onto the floor. Your equipment has been engineered to come apart during product changeovers without the need for tools and should come apart with ease. This video will be using the compact tabletop version, but these instructions are also applicable for the compact mobile and powerlift versions as well. To begin, always turn off the air prior to disassembly or maintenance. To turn off the air, disconnect the air line. Your machine is now off. If you're working with a foot pedal, pick it up and place it out of the way. Next, unplug the foot pedal line. Join the connectors together to prevent water or contaminants from getting into the lines. Some attachments, like this nozzle, use air lines. Unplug all of its lines. Remember to connect its air lines together. To remove your attachment, undo the clamp and gasket. Place them on the tray. Use the clamp to keep all the gaskets and O-rings together. This is a block-off for when you do not have any attachment air lines connected to the machine. It prevents the air from leaking out of the open fitting. Insert the block-off. Now remove the hopper. Start by releasing the hopper safety plug. Next, loosen the nut below the hopper. Grasp the top of the hopper and rotate the nut counterclockwise. Make sure to have a firm grip on the hopper. Remove the hopper, but make sure the black beveled seat gasket stays with the block. We recommend you place the black leveled seat gasket in a clamp with the other gaskets. Next, disconnect the air cylinder lines. They are located just below the block. Connect the lines together. Now undo the clamp. Then pull the air cylinder outward and then slide the air cylinder and the univalve away from each other. To remove the block, pull the safety pin outward, then slide the block off. Now we will remove the product cylinder. Simply pull it away from the machine. Then remove the product piston. It has what we call a bayonet connection, and it slides sideways on and off the main air cylinder shaft. The rest of the machine can be wiped down or washed with a mild detergent. There are two different methods for removing O-rings. One is the pinch method, where you take a dry cloth and squeeze the O-ring. Once it's loose, grab the other end with your hand. As you can see, it comes off easily. The second method is to use the provided O-ring tool found in your spare parts kit. It has a rounded tip so that it won't damage the ring. Slip under the ring and remove it. Be careful to always push the tool away from your hands. Although the tool is not sharp, it can puncture you. Next, inspect the rings. Look for any cracks, nicks, or flat spots. If the ring is worn, replace it with a new one from your spare parts kit. New O-rings can be ordered from Unifiller's customer care department. To ensure you don't lose your O-rings, place them on one of the clamps and then close it up. All these parts are for washdown with the exception of the air cylinder. This is not a food contact part, but if there is product or debris on the outside of the air cylinder, the cylinder can be rinsed off. Just be sure to connect the air lines like this first. Unifiller recommends that you do not submerge the air cylinder in the water. To reassemble your machine, you will need the food-grade grease found in your spare parts kit. It will be applied to the O-rings, block, and product cylinder. Begin by reinstalling the O-rings by simply rolling them on. To reassemble the machine, we simply put the parts back in reverse order. This is the product piston. Apply the provided Lubrifilm grease to the O-ring. To reinstall it, you simply slide it onto the bayonet connection like this. Next, we put some of the grease on the inside edge of the product cylinder like this. Apply a little bit of grease to the O-ring. Then install the product cylinder into the piston. Next, the block goes back on. Put some grease on the inside edge of the block. Then put some more grease on the inside cylinder part of the block. Line up the pegs with the guide rails and slide the block on. You may need to give a little tap to lock it in. Slide the safety pin through the block. Make sure to push it in fully, otherwise the machine will not cycle. Now apply some grease onto the O-rings of the univalve. Now put the univalve halfway into the block. To attach the air cylinder to the univalve, slide it down into the bayonet connector. Make sure to line up the nub and the notch. Push the whole thing into the block. Fasten it with a clamp. Plug in the air lines into the connectors located next to the etched drawing of a block. Give the lines a little tug to ensure they are in. The hopper gasket is beveled to fit the seat of the block. Note, no grease is to be used on any of the black gaskets. The hopper gets placed back onto the center of the block. Tighten the nut clockwise, as tight as you can by hand. Wiggle and rotate the hopper while tightening the nut at the same time. The safety connect must be plugged in. The plug's position is easily identified by this symbol on the machine. This machine is an air-operated depositor. It will require a compressed air source to operate. Connect your air compressor air lines to the air regulator. The air regulator should read 80 psi. Now you can add attachments. Unifiller has many standard interchangeable attachments that will work with most of our Unifiller equipment. The next 3 demonstrations will show the 3 most common hookups, but you can use these instructions as a general guide for other attachments. The depositor has etched symbols that can be understood in any language for the correct placement of the air lines. Here we have a spout nozzle. Take the black gasket and place it in between the attachment and the block. Do not add grease to this gasket. Then put on the clamp and tighten the nut. You may want to rotate the clamp so when you tighten the nut, you can get easy access to it. Because this attachment does not require any air lines, you will need to plug the open airline hole with the block off. It prevents the air from leaking out of the open fitting when no air lines are installed. This nozzle works in conjunction with a foot pedal. The foot pedal can be connected in one location. Next, take the foot pedal lines and plug them into your machine. Make sure your air line is connected and then flip the switch on the other side to turn your machine on. Test cycle your machine by stepping on the foot pedal. You should see the univalve move back and forth inside the block. Here we have a nozzle with 2 air lines that will need to be connected. Now take your attachment and the black gasket and place it on the block. Do not add grease to the gasket. Then put on the clamp and tighten the nut. Make sure your attachment is fully clean, lubricated, and assembled when installing it onto your depositor. Here's where you plug the nozzle's air lines. If the block off is plugged in, disconnect it first. Now you can connect the air lines. Give them a little tug to make sure they are in fully. This nozzle also works in conjunction with a foot pedal. Take the foot pedal lines and plug them in as shown. Make sure your air line is connected and then flip the switch on the other side to turn your machine on. Test cycle your machine and attachment by stepping on the foot pedal. You should see movement from the univalve and the attachment. Another very popular attachment is the hand nozzle. You will notice that this accessory has 4 airline connections. For easier installation, hang the hand nozzle onto the hopper, then place the gasket between the hose and the block. Connect them together with a clamp. Now connect the air lines. These connectors will only fit into their respective sockets. 2 will go into the foot pedal position and 2 will fit into the nozzle position on the depositor. Give the lines a little tug to make sure they are in. Press the trigger on the hand nozzle. The machine and the nozzle should cycle effortlessly. Now that your depositor is assembled and tested, add your product to the hopper and prepare to calibrate your depositor for volume and speed. To establish an accurate portion size, deposit your product a few times onto a tiered board, tray, or bowl, and then weigh the deposits. If the deposit output is too heavy or too light, you can change it with the handle on the side of the machine. Volume adjustments will be indicated by this pointer on the scale. To adjust the volume, turn the switch on the side to the X position. Unlock the scale by rotating the handle and then slide the pointer to a higher number for a larger deposit. Turn the switch back to the check position and then do a few cycles of the machine in a row. Make a deposit and weigh it. For a smaller deposit, flip the switch to the X and move the pointer to a lower number. Flip the switch to the check position and do a few cycles of the machine in a row. Then make your deposit and weigh it. Continue adjusting until you get the desired portioned weight. You should make a note of the final volume setting so you can dial it in for that particular product for the next time you produce it. If you find after adjusting the product weight you are depositing in a range below 15 on the scale, you have selected the wrong size product cylinder. Using the correct size product cylinder will ensure accurate deposits. You want your deposit volume to be within 15 to 90 on the scale. For example, if you are at 10 on the scale, your deposit weight is correct and you had this cylinder on your depositor, you should install a smaller product cylinder. The same weight would read about 40 or 50 on the scale. This would help to prevent any drift in product weight as the machine is depositing. Likewise, if you are at 100% product volume with this cylinder, then you should install a larger product cylinder. The only other thing you can adjust is the speed of the deposit. The speed is controlled with this dial here. As you can see, there are etched symbols of a tortoise and a hare. The tortoise is slow and the hare is fast. If you find you can work faster and your product isn't splashing, then you can increase the speed by turning it toward the hare. As well, if the product is splashing and you find your operator cannot keep pace with the machine, you can slow the depositor speed down by turning it towards the tortoise. Note, varying the speed can affect the product volume. Be sure to cycle the machine a few times and then weigh your product to ensure an accurate output. Adjust the volume again if needed. This concludes our instructional video. If you have any questions regarding the setup or operation of this equipment, please contact us at